Murkoff has acquired another prime asset for the lathe program at the Senyala facility, and if you thought this one would be any less messed up than Gooseberry or Coyle, you couldn't be more wrong. In fact, in many ways I would say that Franco Barbi is more messed up than his predecessors in many ways. And let's get into the details. Franco Barbi is the son of Louisiana Mafia Don Salvatore Barbi, also known on the street as Figo Barbi or Sally Figs. Franco never met his actual birth mother, instead growing up around his father's numerous wives and of course partaking in the criminal underworld that befits the son of a Mafia Don. He wasted no time getting himself into the same violent life that his father lived, having committed his very first murder at the young age of 12. Killing a man that owed his father money and using his old man's shotgun to do it. It is described by a friend of Salvatore's as being the very first time his father ever hugged or acted proud of Franco in any way. This of course would only be the first of many murders. Only a few years later, in Franco's teenage years, he would go on to become his father's triggerman and hitman, sawing off the same shotgun and using it as his primary tool of murder. This very shotgun would earn Franco the nickname of Lupara, or Lupa by many. Lupara is an Italian word to refer to a sawn-off shotgun, and boy does he put it to good use. Franco would essentially go on a murder spree, and there wasn't a month that would pass where the Mafia family wouldn't hear about another person winding up dead, shot to pieces and resembling a chewed-up dog toy. Franco would kill for little to no reason, and it didn't take long before the cops were involved, and even his powerful father couldn't keep them at bay. Franco would end up being exiled to Miami by his father. But there are conflicting reasons as to why this happened. Firstly, some believe it was due to the growing police interest in the Martino crime family due to Franco's murders, opting to send him away to let everything cool off. The other reason given is a bit more spicy, however. See, Franco is not much of a looker, and that's putting it lightly, so he would frequent the services of working girls, even killing some of them. A rumour went around that old Franco had trouble, well, getting it up. That is until a secret fling with one particular woman. See, Salvatore, Franco's father, was no stranger to wives. In fact, he had a total of 4 during Franco's upbringing. But it wasn't until Salvatore's 4th marriage to Angelina Barbi where things got a little weird. Franco and his stepmother Angelina had a secret love affair, and when Salvatore found out, it did not end well for old Franco, being beaten within an inch of his life and his cranial birth defects now being expanded upon by his physical trauma. And if you want to go by this story, Franco was exiled to Miami as punishment from his father. His actions while in Miami didn't change all that much, becoming an assassin for hire and a debt collector. There is even good reason to believe that the murders carried out by Franco are psychosexual in nature. It is said that Franco would collect the nipples of his victims. Ugh. Franco would also spend his time in Cuba, and for a brief amount of time was utilized by the CIA on missions, being sent out on CIA-led raids against Cuban revolutionary forces. But Franco is Franco, and having specific targets is boring. He would go on to murder just about anybody without any real thought. This of course was not ideal for the CIA, and they would eventually have to set him loose. His time in Cuba did not come to an end here, however, with Franco actually witnessing a Murkoff reagent conducting a murder. This would lead him to murder 7 people during the chaos that the reagent started. This of course caught the eye of Murkoff, who was observing the reagent at work, and would go on to send Clyde Perry to investigate this mysterious man that people were calling Lupara. Clyde would track Franco down to a rundown hotel, where he was in a room with a working girl. Only Franco had killed the woman and climbed inside her corpse like a baby. Not the only baby-like reference to this character, which I'll get to in a second. A fight ensues between Franco and Clyde, which ends with Clyde needing leg reconstruction and skull surgery before Franco would eventually be picked up by Murkoff and transported to the Senyala facility to act as their 3rd prime asset. Now, I mentioned before the parallels between Franco and a baby. Well, I think I actually now know why. In a recent AMA, Red Barrels answered some questions from the public. In one of the questions, it mentions that Franco was actually inspired to be a mix between his 2 predecessors, Coyle and Gooseberry. See, Gooseberry is the mother and Coyle is the father, figuratively speaking of course, but Franco would fit in as the child. Now we can see that Franco enjoys his role as child a little too much. Of course, the moment he crawled into the stomach of the woman like a fetus, only to burst out like a worse version of Chucky. His necklace of choice is a pacifier that he keeps around his neck at all times. But we can even see within the trial that Franco opts to cradle himself into the arms of some of the ex-population, acting as a child. and in some cases, even breastfeeding himself. Not to mention that he collects nipples, and while I cannot show this on YouTube for obvious reasons, he literally has a factory in the dock that he collects breast milk from numerous reagents for his personal collection. And using baby milk bottles, except the lids have been replaced with cut-off nipples. Coyle and Gooseberry honestly seem not that bad in comparison to this creepy man-child. Franco is permitted by Murkoff to keep his iconic shotgun within the trials using bone fragments and teeth as ammunition instead of your typical bullets. His dock environment is of course decked out like a typical mafia-run casino with a giant boat sporting the name of Angelina, just like his stepmother and short-lived love interest. Not to mention that his environment is also a fully functioning heroin facility that the reagents use to make a little extra profit on the side for Murkoff. And with all that being said, that wraps up the character-centric explanation of our newest addition to the Prime Asset family, Franco Barbi. If you have not already, be sure to check out our other 2 previous character explained videos on Coyle and Gooseberry, and of course if you want all the juicy Outlast lore, look no further than the timeline video. If you watched until the end, be sure to type Looper in the comments down below so I can see. Like if you enjoyed the video, and of course subscribe for more in the future. Until next time guys, peace.